Harden here, back with another mission about Eve encounters. There's a couple of reasons why I wanted to make this video. You may recall a couple of days ago I did a video about the kind of top 10 tips or 10 tips for avoiding getting ganked running missions in low sec. One of the pieces of advice I gave in that was about the fact that during peak periods, during the weekends, you should look at doing other things if you possibly can, try and kind of look for other source of income or actually run high sec missions. So what I wanted to do today was actually kind of show you the kind of income and ISK you can actually make out of high sec missions during those peak periods when you probably don't want to be spending too much time in low sec. The second reason is I've actually gone and bought myself a Typhoon II, as you can see here. I've been flying a Raven pretty much since I could, but I've been kind of looking at the Typhoon II, thought it looked like a decent ship. I hadn't tried it on the test server, so I thought I want to give it a go here, and I thought it could be kind of a useful addition. As you can see, my bank balance has taken a substantial dive as a result, and the other thing is I've discovered is that the insurance that I had that covered it, that easily covered my Raven, was not actually substantial enough to actually cover the Typhoon II. So I actually had to go and spend, I think it was about an additional 80 plex just to get my insurance up, to top up my insurance and make sure the Typhoon was covered. So anyway, I'm just going to quickly pop in to the actual Typhoon itself, so you can actually see, for those of you who haven't flown one, you can see what the kind of bonuses are. Let me just do this quickly. So the ship info is here, so you can see it's got an activation time bonus of 5% per level, and a 12.5% bonus to large missile torpedo explosion velocity. That's the primary reason I actually got the ship. It doesn't have as much DPS bonuses as the Raven, but I thought that the explosion velocity could make a big difference for kind of hitting those smaller targets, and particularly now that scanning is in there, and there is a risk always when you're running missions in low sec, there is a risk that people will jump in. It should make my missiles substantially more capable of hitting smaller ships, hitting tackle ships, and that was kind of my thinking behind it. It also has a 7.5% bonus to scan resolution, which means that you can actually, when you warp into the mission, you can actually lock the stuff a lot quicker, and you can actually start shooting a lot quicker. Has a substantial increase in terms of defense, in terms of the scale, the amount of EHP on the ship, and then everything else is fairly standard. So I'll just quickly show the fitting screen. I have basically set this up in pretty much the same way I had my Raven. One thing to note is that actually, even though it has one extra high slot, because it doesn't have the same damage bonuses as the Raven, its actual DPS is about 150 less than cold than I was getting on my Raven. So it has actually dropped down the DPS. I want to see how that actually works in practice, because theoretically the faster explosion velocity should be making my missiles do more damage, should be able to apply more damage, but again, I'm not sure how that's going to actually work in practice. The other thing to note here is the defense. Now you can see here the EHP here is now 118,000. That's with just one shield hardener fitted. If I actually go ahead and turn on that shield hardener, and I also will activate my shield command module on my Ferox, which you can see in the background here, that should activate any time now. There you go. And if I jump back in now on the fitting screen, you should see that my defense is now up to a very nice 154,797, as I said, with only one shield hardener and the shield command module on the Ferox. So it's a very nice tanky ship, and obviously I'm kind of playing it in glass cannon mode here, but with that much EHP, I'm actually almost tempted to take off the additional hardener and actually go with even more DPS on this. But again, until I get used to flying it, I'm probably not going to do that. So that was just kind of some of my thinking. The other thing with this ship is, as I mentioned, the actual pure DPS is lower than my Raven, but and again I'll quickly just show you on the actual missiles itself, on the Rapids. Bear in mind, Rapids already have a reasonable, for a large missile, a reasonable explosion velocity. On my Raven it's about 75 meters per second. On this ship it's 121 meters a second, which is actually a faster explosion velocity than some of the mid-level missile weapon types. So it should actually really help in terms of hitting smaller targets. The only issue for me is that in terms of the missions I'm doing, basically I kill the small targets because I'm running in this little fleet, and because I've got a Ferox in the fleet as well. I already kill the small targets very quickly, so theoretically this won't really make that much difference in the kind of missions that I run in terms of the time, other than again, but for me the kind of key advantage here is that all that additional tank, which could become useful if I do get into a PvP situation, and the fact that these missiles will work much better in PvP in terms of hitting tackle. But it does make me think that the other thing I will try at some stage is, again, particularly for doing missions in high sec, is maybe swapping out the Rapids for torpedoes, because the torpedoes actually with painters and webs actually do apply damage very, very nicely already to the larger ships. They're just a bit slower on the kind of small stuff, but when you look at the bonus for the Typhoon in terms of the explosion velocity, it's possible that they will also help the Typhoon apply a lot more damage on those smaller ships with the torpedoes. So torpedoes actually for running PvE missions might actually make more sense. Again, the only downside with torpedoes is that the range is much smaller. I think it's only about 15 kilometers, so therefore you would need to kind of fit some kind of MWD or prop mod to make sure you get in range quickly and start killing things quickly. So I'm still not sure on the viability of that. I might do a video on that at some stage, test that out and see whether it actually kind of speeds things up. I need to actually get a stopwatch and kind of actually calculate my time in each mission. So anyway, that's just a quick overview on the Typhoon. Again, the only other thing I will highlight on this is that the missile range has gone down. Again, the Raven does get bonuses to range. So my Raven currently, the other Raven, I think the range is about 50 kilometers. So I'm losing about 10 kilometers on the range. That might not seem like much, and certainly for doing the PvE stuff, it doesn't make that much difference because I warp in at 0. And the 40 kilometers, there's never anything outside that 40 kilometer range, so it's perfectly fine for the PvE stuff. Where that could be an issue is in PvP actually, because you do have some of those ships that get bonuses to pointing range, like the Daredevil, who can actually point you from about 45 kilometers, which means that with a Typhoon I won't necessarily be able to hit those. Although I do have the let me just try and get the name right because I always kind of mess that up, the missile guidance computer, which does actually apply an additional, when it's activated, does substantially increase the range of missiles for a short time. So that combined with the extra explosion velocity, if I can get a couple of volleys off while that is activated, should still be enough to actually take down any light tackle. But again, I haven't tried that in practice. That may be just my theory, may not actually work in reality. So anyway, that's just a quick overview. As I said, the purpose of this mission today is to actually demonstrate how the Typhoon works, for those of you who haven't hit T10 yet, and see if it makes any improvement, any difference from the Raven in terms of PvE. And secondly, just to kind of show you, give you an example of how you can make money during those peak periods when you can't do low sec missions in high sec. So just want to kind of show you here, if I go to my missions now, what I have done here is over the course of literally, this is my first set of missions today. So I woke up, I think it was 3 missions in this system that were automatically generated, and then I did 1 refresh, and that then picked me up. So you can see here, refugee left behind, mining area safety concern, communication jammer search, Angel cartel hideout investigation, freedom extension fleet under attack. So I've picked up 5 missions all in this same high sec system, so there's no risk of getting ganked. And there are systems throughout EVE in low sec and high sec where this it's kind of, I don't know how it works, I don't know how NetEase have coded this, but basically there are systems where if you do your refreshes, you will get a lot of missions in one particular system, and that actually really does help in terms of the efficiency of running missions, in terms of you're not having to spend a lot of time warping around, going back and forth. At the moment, these are all expert missions because I've picked them up with my main account. My other two accounts are not yet tier 10, but when they are tier 10, I will be able to do the same thing. So I'll be able to have potentially up to 15 missions in one system at the same time. So you probably have about an hour and a half of content where you can actually pick up quite substantial kind of rewards and bounties. The expert missions that are in HiSec, those rewards vary from about 2.5 million to 3 million. So you can see here I've got 5 of those. So my total should be around, again, if it's 2.5 million per mission, should be about 12.5 somewhere once you take tax into account, and then you get also all the bounties from, because they do have obviously battle cruisers, battleships, so you do pick up some quite nice bounties for those. So anyway, I'm going to warp in now and just do a couple. The time on the video now at the moment, I just crossed the 10-minute mark, so you get an idea. I'll do a couple. I don't want to push this video past 20 minutes, but so I'll just show you how quickly you can kind of do these. So refugee left behind, fleet command, warp fleet, turn on my hardeners, and jump in. This is the first time I'm trying this Typhoon in action, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of impact it has in terms of this kind of mission. Let's get onto the loot here. So where I am now, it is actually the weekend. It is Sunday morning. This area, this low-sec area I work in or play in normally, is pretty busy. So that's why at the weekend I just be a bit more careful and run some of these missions in HiSec. So okay, they're bashing on my. Okay, so the Typhoon there, focus fire. It seems to be some kind of, I don't know why there's, okay, focus fire, approach. And let's apply all my damage mods. Let's just try and kill these as quick as possible. Do the same on my second account. So let's just compare some of the hits now I'm getting on my Raven here, on this Typhoon, on the shield. Typhoon hasn't hit yet. Oh, there, 4,807. So, okay, looking at 4,600 on the shield, 4,900, 4,900. So it looks like my Raven is hitting for about 400 extra damage each hit. And it seems to be on a roughly similar kind of rate of fire. So it doesn't seem to be making a huge, in fact the Typhoon definitely is doing less DPS per hit on these larger things. Let me see, we've got 4,000 on there, 4,000. So even on the battlecruiser, the Raven is doing higher DPS. Again, I have got 6 painters in this fleet, so that really does help even the non-boosted Raven weapons. So we've got a stabber on as the last one. Let's have a look if that makes any difference. So we're getting a hit there, 3,797. Yeah, even on the cruiser, the Raven is doing more damage. I don't know if the rate of fire, if there is a bit of difference, but certainly at the moment the Raven is outperforming in terms of pure DPS delivery. Let's get this next wave underway. And again, they're continuing to bash on my Ferox. So again, apply. Let's put my webs on this time. Raven is outside web range. So, okay, next hit 4,600, 4,900 on the Raven, 4,600 on Typhoon, 4,900 on the Raven, 4,500 there, and 5,000 on the. So yeah, certainly the Raven is outperforming the Typhoon, which is a bit disappointing considering you spend so much. I think it was 2.2 billion just for the ship, and then obviously all the fittings and everything else that have to go onto it. So certainly if you are thinking about changing, I would reconsider it if your cash is tight. I don't think it's particularly that great, that much of an improvement over the Raven to kind of make it worthwhile. But again, I did it partly because I kind of think this will actually help on the kind of PvP side of things. I'm running low sec encounters, so having a ship that can blast tackle more efficiently may be useful. So we're on the final wave here. Let me see. Okay, get onto that Typhoon, and yeah, just make sure all my targets, all my ships are shooting at the same target. Let's make it a bit more interesting for you guys. Let's turn it onto the Typhoon so you can actually see. There we go. And yeah, anyway, my Ferox wasn't actually shooting. Let me turn that off there. Who are they actually shooting at? They're shooting at my Raven. Okay, so 4,000 hit there, 4,200, 4,600 on the Raven. Let's have a look. 4,200 on the Typhoon, 4,800. So, yeah, it's in the region of about 500 to 600 extra damage the Raven is doing each hit over the Typhoon. Okay, the Talwar, that Talwar died super fast, and let's have a look at this Talwar, see how this does. Okay, 3,154 hit, 3,000. 2,800. So yeah, it's delivering very nice damage onto the smaller targets. And then we're onto the Cyclone. Let's have a look. Let's see all my ships approaching there. Let's pick up a little bit of the loot as we go. Okay, and then the Stabber just popped. There we go. And then the Hound. Again, a smaller ship. Be interesting to see how this hits. 826. So yeah, okay, that's down. So it doesn't seem to slow things down drastically. I mean, I know the DPS is a little bit less than the Raven. Doesn't seem to have made that much difference in terms of running the mission. Certainly, it makes me feel, having all that extra tank makes me feel more secure. And again, having that kind of better ability to hit tackle in PvP makes me feel more secure. So I'm not unhappy that I've upgraded. But again, if your money is tight, I would say for pure PvE, I would say jumping into the Typhoon II won't make that much of it much difference. So we'll warp into the next one. Mining area safety concern, fleet command, warp fleet. And let's see how quickly we do this one. I need to turn off my shield booster on my Raven. Ferox will arrive first. Okay, my Ferox has arrived. Okay. Okay, so one thing I've just noticed is that the Typhoon does warp, does align and warp that bit quicker, and also locks that bit quicker. So it may be doing a little bit less damage on each individual hit, but from what I can see there, you actually get the opportunity to probably deliver at least one or two hits before the Raven even has kind of got into the fight and locked on. So again, that's something to take into account. Again, that's probably an extra 3 or 4, maybe about 6,000 damage. So over the course of killing one ship, that probably actually balances out. So again, that's something to keep in mind. So the DPS is lower, but you actually get to shoot that little bit quicker, which is helpful. Let's change it to the loot screen. Don't know why I'm not shooting this guy. That's a Heron, 20 kilometers. Yeah, just popped it. Okay, second wave. Okay, and we will hit the Raven first. again, they're focusing on my Ferox again. Let's apply the damage mods. Just so you can see, when the damage mods are on, the DPS is 3,132, so pretty decent. Yeah, in terms of how long it's taking to clear each wave, I would say it's pretty much on par with what I was doing with the Raven before. Again, based on how quickly all my mods I'm kind of reactivating, all that kind of stuff, that kind of feel. Okay, and actually I can put my webs on here, which will help kill these things little stuff a little bit quicker. Okay, let's pick up a bit of loot while we're going. Okay, and then the final wave here. About to pop. There's the caracal. Okay, and I think this is the final wave now. Here we go. So we've got a Raven there, focus fire approach. Again, painters on. So as you can see here, again, as I am flying this little mini fleet, they do tend to focus on the Ferox. That's not always guaranteed. It really depends where they spawn. If they're closer to your battleship, they will start shooting your battleship. But you can see on the tank side of things, really not taking. Even my other Raven, I've not even turned the shield booster on this particular wave. My Ferox seems to take the bulk of the beating, and that one is tanked up. It does make me think whether I should actually, especially for these high-sec missions, whether I can actually take a bit more of the tank off and even go even more glass cannon. Again, I'm not sure how much more quickly that will help me complete these missions, because as you can see, they're being completed quite rapidly already. And again, I'm forgetting to put my webs and painters on here, which is just wasting a little bit of time. And I can put my tracking, well, it's not a tracking computer, target guidance, missile guidance computer. For some reason I always forget that name. So then the Naga, let's have a look, what's the Raven hitting? 4,700, 4,300, yeah, so it's about 300, 400 HP difference each shot. So again, one hit on that Heron. Okay, so very nice, another 2.2 million. So I'm not going to sit through all three missions here, but basically, as you can see, let me just turn this off, stop wasting some cap. As you can see, you can get these groups of missions in high sec, which are reasonably lucrative. I mean, obviously they're not as good as doing low sec stuff, but certainly during those peak periods when there are a lot of people around in low sec, where there are groups of people out hunting mission runners, there's certainly a viable way of making some quick income if you just don't want to take that risk at the weekends, like I prefer to do. Again, if I get a very nice mission in a low sec system that I know is a quiet system, it's a dead end or whatever, I will still take those and I will still run those. But I'm not going to kind of spend too much time out exposing myself around low sec when there are kind of other alternatives. So anyway, I hope this is useful. I hope this is interesting. I hope you found seeing the Typhoon II in action. I'm sure there's more and more of these in the game now. So if you haven't flown one yet, as I said, overall, in conclusion, summing that up, again, not sure it's worth the money just purely for the PvE aspect of it. The Raven, the standard T9 Raven, is a lot cheaper even to insure, and in terms of DPS certainly delivers as much of a punch. But if you do have the cash to spare and you do want a ship that has a better tank and potentially better capabilities in PvP, then I would certainly recommend the Typhoon. I do like it from a the way it looks. I do like this ship. So anyway, thank you for watching. If you do like this, please do like and subscribe, and I'll put out some more content. The next one I think I may do is I might actually try out the Typhoon on a few missions with torpedoes and see how that goes and what kind of damage it delivers. So probably plan that in the next few days. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care. Fly safe. Take care. Bye.